This diagnosis usually doesn't just happen overnight. That for years, often a decade or more, a mostly silent process has been at work, setting the stage and affecting your body from the inside out. Most of us think about diabetes as strictly a blood sugar problem. But the real story starts much, much earlier. It often begins with conditions we tend to dismiss or tackle one by one, like blood pressure that's starting to creep up, some stubborn belly fat that won't budge, or a fatty liver diagnosis that sounds a little abstract. These aren't separate issues. They're often warning shots, all pointing back to a central problem brewing under the surface, a problem that can disrupt your metabolism long before your blood sugar ever signals that something is seriously wrong. Today, we're going to uncover this hidden process, connect the dots between these quiet warnings, and show you how to stop it in its tracks. The clues you notice. Maybe this sounds familiar. You feel tired a lot, especially after a meal heavy in carbs. You get cravings for sugar or bread that feel almost impossible to fight. You're gaining weight, but it's specifically around your midsection, creating that apple shape, even if the number on the scale hasn't jumped dramatically. Perhaps your doctor mentioned your blood pressure is a bit high, or your cholesterol panel looks a little off. It's so easy to brush these things off. We blame them on getting older, on stress, or on not getting enough sleep. We tell ourselves, this is just a normal part of life. But what if it isn't? What if these seemingly unrelated frustrations are all pieces of the same puzzle? While these symptoms can have many different causes, they often point to a much larger fire smoldering within your metabolism. And at the heart of that fire is one powerful, widely misunderstood, and very common condition. Unmasking the hidden culprit: insulin resistance. The condition that ties so many of these dots together is called insulin resistance. It's a term you may have heard, but most people don't really get what it means, or just how early it can start. Here's a simple way to think about it. Imagine your body's cells have tiny locks on their doors. When you eat carbohydrates and your blood sugar rises, your pancreas releases a hormone called insulin. Insulin is the key that's supposed to unlock your cells, letting the sugar from your blood enter so it can be used for energy. In a healthy person, this system works beautifully. The key fits the lock, sugar gets into the cells, and your blood sugar levels go back to normal. But with insulin resistance, a problem develops. Thanks to a mix of factors, like a diet high in processed foods, not enough physical activity, chronic stress, and, yes, genetics, your cells start to become numb to insulin signal. The locks get a bit rusty. The key doesn't turn as easily anymore. Your pancreas senses this. It sees that sugar is having a harder time getting into the cells. So, it does the only thing it knows how to do: it makes more insulin. It essentially starts shouting, trying to force those rusty locks open. For many years, this actually works. Your pancreas shouts loud enough, with higher and higher levels of insulin, to keep your blood sugar in the normal range. This is a critical point. For a long time, this isn't a blood sugar problem, it's a blood insulin problem. Your fasting glucose and A1C tests might look perfectly fine for years, while behind the scenes, your insulin levels are climbing. This chronically high level of insulin is the central domino that begins to knock over everything else. The collateral damage: a body under siege. This state of high insulin, known as hyperinsulinemia, isn't harmless. Insulin is a powerful anabolic hormone, meaning it's a major player in building and storing things in the body. When it's constantly elevated, it creates widespread collateral damage. This is the phase where the silent process starts to show up as other diagnosable conditions. First, let's talk about high blood pressure. Many people are surprised to learn that insulin resistance is a major contributor to the most common type of high blood pressure. High levels of insulin can tell your kidneys to hold on to sodium and water, which increases the volume of blood in your arteries. At the same time, it can make the walls of your arteries stiffer and less flexible. More volume in a tighter space means higher pressure. Next is fatty liver disease. This condition used to be called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD, but experts have recently pushed for a new name: metabolic dysfunction-associated steatotic liver disease, or MASLD. This isn't just a simple name change. It's a move to more accurately reflect that the condition is driven by metabolic problems, not just the absence of alcohol. When your cells are resistant to insulin, All that extra sugar in your blood has to go somewhere. Your liver reluctantly steps in and starts turning that excess sugar into fat, specifically triglycerides. Your liver literally becomes a fat storage depot. A fatty liver can then create a vicious cycle, worsening insulin resistance and inflammation throughout the body. This leads us right to your cholesterol panel. Your doctor might focus on your LDL, or bad cholesterol, but insulin resistance creates a very specific pattern that can be a huge red flag. It causes your liver to pump out more of those triglycerides it's been making. So, you'll see high triglycerides on your lab report. At the same time, it tends to lower your HDL, the good, protective cholesterol. This combination of high triglycerides and low HDL is a classic hallmark of insulin resistance, even if your LDL looks normal. Finally, there's the most visible sign, central obesity, or that stubborn belly fat. Insulin is a fat storage hormone. When it's chronically high, it effectively locks your fat cells in storage mode, making it incredibly difficult to burn stored body fat for energy. While factors like your genes, age, and other hormones play a big role in where that fat ends up, this state often leads to more fat storage deep around your abdomen and vital organs. This visceral fat isn't just a cosmetic issue. It's metabolically active and pumps out inflammatory molecules that make insulin resistance even worse. Section 4. The official warning when it gets a name. For years, this collection of issues, the rising blood pressure, the expanding waistline, the fatty liver, the skewed cholesterol, can exist under the radar. But eventually, the pattern becomes too significant to ignore, and it gets an official name. This is when you might be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. This isn't a single disease, but a cluster of conditions. A doctor will typically diagnose you with metabolic syndrome if you have at least 3 of the following 5 markers: a large waistline, high blood pressure, a reading of 130/85 or higher, high triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol, and elevated fasting blood sugar. It's the medical community's formal way of saying that this web of problems has hit a critical point. Around the same time, or soon after, your pancreas starts to get exhausted. After years of overproducing insulin, it can begin to lose its ability to keep up. This is when your blood sugar finally starts to rise out of the normal range. This is pre-diabetes. Your A1C might be between 5.7% and 6.4%, or your fasting glucose between 100 and 125 mg per deciliter. This is the final, loud warning shot before a full diabetes diagnosis. You might also see other physical clues, like small skin tags on your neck or armpits, or dark, velvety patches of skin called acanthosis nigricans. While these can have other causes, they often serve as visible hints of the high insulin levels circulating inside. If you're finding this information valuable and starting to connect some of these dots for yourself, take a second to subscribe to the channel. My goal is to give you the knowledge you need to take back control of your metabolic health. The turning point: how to reverse the damage. Hearing terms like prediabetes or metabolic syndrome can be scary. But here is the most important message of this entire video. This process is often improvable and, in many cases, can even be put into remission. A diagnosis is not your destiny, it is a call to action. Because this condition is so heavily influenced by lifestyle, it can be dramatically improved through lifestyle changes. This isn't about a magic pill or a crash diet. It's about changing the signals you send to your body every single day. The solution stands on 3 core pillars. Pillar 1. Food as information. The food you eat isn't just calories, it's instructions that tell your hormones what to do. The goal is to eat in a way that lowers your insulin levels. This generally means reducing your intake of foods that cause a rapid spike in blood sugar, things like sugar, refined grains, white bread, pasta, pastries, and sugary drinks. Instead, you can build your meals around protein, healthy fats, and high-fiber carbohydrates like non-starchy vegetables. This combination helps blunt the blood sugar response, requires far less insulin, and keeps you feeling full and energized. Pillar 2. The power of movement. Exercise is one of the most powerful ways to resensitize your body to insulin. When you use your muscles, they can take up sugar from your bloodstream with little to no insulin required. It's like creating a sugar sponge that bypasses the rusty locks on your other cells. A combination of resistance training, to build more muscle that can store glucose, and aerobic exercise is ideal. You don't have to become a marathon runner. Starting with a brisk 10 to 20-minute walk after your meals can meaningfully reduce the post-meal blood sugar surge. Pillar 3, the unsung heroes: sleep and stress. This is the pillar most people overlook. Poor sleep, even for just one night, can increase insulin resistance. Chronic stress keeps your body in a fight or flight state, pumping out the stress hormone cortisol, which tells your body to release sugar into the blood, further challenging the system. Prioritizing 7-8 hours of quality sleep and finding healthy ways to manage stress, like meditation, time in nature, or mindfulness, are not luxuries. They are essential for your metabolic health. For decades, we've been told that diabetes is a disease that just happens to us. But as we've seen, that's not the whole story. Diabetes isn't a sudden storm. It's the high tide that arrives after years of a slowly rising water level. The fatigue, the belly fat, the high blood pressure, the fatty liver, these are not always separate, random issues. They are often interconnected symptoms of an underlying challenge: insulin resistance. They are the body's smoke signals, warning you of a metabolic fire that is smoldering, years before the full-blown alarm of a diabetes diagnosis goes off. The power to change your health trajectory is in your hands. The first step is knowledge. The next is action. Start by having a conversation with your doctor about assessing your metabolic health. Ask about getting a clear picture of your risk, which could involve checking your fasting glucose, A1C, and a lipid panel to look at your triglycerides and HDL. In some cases, a doctor might even test your fasting insulin. Don't wait for the fire alarm. Respond to the smoke signals your body might be sending you right now. You have the power to turn the tide. If you think this video is useful, click the like button and subscribe to my channel. It is a simple help to me encouraged to make more videos.